Hi, I'm Dave and I help business leaders to use IT more effectively, and this week we're talking about technophobia. Well, the idea being is the fear of change, the fear of technology in general. And a lot of business leaders, people always think it's really elderly leaders. It's not always the case. They get very frustrated with technology, and it's my job to kind of sit between the management team and the technical team and all the technology and try and give you some sense of sanity with it, because it does feel sometimes completely overwhelming, and I do appreciate that. So I'm just going to explore this week about the different aspects of technophobia and what you can do to overcome them. I'm going to give you a few examples, and hopefully this will be really helpful for you to be using technology more effectively in your business to make more money. So let's get going. I think we have to be honest with ourselves, and sometimes we fear technology, and sometimes the pace seems incredibly fast. I think even us techie people are quite fearful of what the new ChatGPT can do. It's scary how quickly it's developing. And if you've been in business 20, 40, 50 years, it doesn't take that long to kind of technologies to become completely obsolete. Like in the UK, no one uses fax machines or checks anymore. They do it in some parts of the world. But the reason that people keep using them is because they've got it to work, they understand how it works, and they fear that change. And your job as a good business leader is not to let your fear of change get in the way of the change happening, because whether you like it, it's going to happen or not. The big problem is the longer you wait, the less money your business makes. You need to make sure that the technology you're using is fit for purpose. Most money is made on new technology, not on obsolete technology. If you want to be more profitable, you need to invest in new technology at the right time, because new technology is less reliable. But by adopting it early, you'll be in a better place to exploit that. So that's why I'm spending time learning about ChatGPT or Microsoft Intune and all these things, because I know that in the future, I'll be in a good position to exploit these things, even though today the opportunities may not always present themselves. And that's stuff that we're already working through. There's new stuff coming through all the time. Just have a think about your fear of technology and whether that's holding back your business and making it less profitable. Because if it is, maybe you can give us a call, we can have a chat or comment below, and maybe I can help you to get over that fear. Now, what is that shiny syndrome? They have the latest Apple Mac, the latest iPhone, etc. Not a clue how to use it. Now, if you're a business owner like this, you're doing your business a real disservice, because what you're doing is you're adding extra frustration to your life by buying shiny new technology that your support team's not familiar with. And also, that money could be better spent elsewhere in the business probably. So what you need is a budget plan. I'm a vCIO, that's what I do. I sit between the leadership team and technology and try and make sense of it. So a budget plan is very exciting, isn't it? Yeah, a budget plan works out where you're going to spend your money, because if you're spending it on shiny systems, the next big thing that you're sold, you're doing your business a massive disservice, because that money is not being focused, laser focused where it needs to be spent. And then I see the same people complaining that they haven't got the budget to do the basic things that need to be done. Yeah, but I can help with this. It's not the end of the world. But what I want you to start thinking about is, if you have a fear of technology and you're buying the latest technology because it's shiny and new and exciting, you're doing not just your team and your business a disservice, but you're doing yourself a disservice, because new stuff goes wrong more. It's going to be more frustrating because less people know about it, so they're going to be able to help you less. And we're trying to reduce that fear of technology. So we want stuff that's really stable and works well. If you're fearful of technology and you're not getting the stuff done that needs to be done, the basics right, and you haven't got life cycle management in place for your PCs, etc., then you're leaving all this money on the table. And by having a budget where you spend that money effectively, you'll reduce your stress, you'll be able to plan ahead, and you'll know what's going to happen over the next 2 to 3 years. So does that make sense? So stop, if you're having a fear of technology, spending money on the next big thing, on shiny stuff. Instead, focus that money where it needs to go. And you might need a little bit of help. Again, if you want to ask me, comment below, get in touch. You can get a link to my website below. Lovely to have a chat. And yeah, really think really hard about whether you're making good technology purchase decisions. We only have a little bit of time each day, and if you're not using technology effectively, it can eat up a lot of time. The biggest complaint that my service desk always gets from owner managers is they're not fast enough to respond. It doesn't matter how fast they are, by the way, they're still not fast enough to respond, or at least to fix the thing. If you have a fear of technology and you're getting frustrated about time, that shows me there's one thing you need to change. And that is to think about investing in time alongside technology, because technology is a tool to help you. And if you don't know how to use the tool effectively, It's always that phrase, isn't it? A poor workman blames his tools. But if you're not using that technology effectively, you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're getting frustrated with technology, so your team are going to get frustrated. And it's not fair to take out your fear of technology on your IT support team or the rest of your staff, is it? And so what we want to do instead is actually think about budgeting time to learning new technology. You've got to put the time into the technology. A lot of business people, they rely on obsolete technology, faxing, checks. And the reason they do that is because they know it works, they understand how it works, and they've already put the time in. So they've got their sunk cost fallacy. But actually, if you move on to new technology, it will save you time if you use it effectively. And I see people do things like they've got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of emails. It's just like, what are you doing? Or they spend hours filing them away. No, stop doing that. And the problem here is that they've not put the time into using the technology effectively to figure out how to do it with best practice. And really, your IT people, or possibly your strategic leadership, when it comes to technology, should be helping you work out where to focus that energy. So at the moment, I strongly recommend you look at artificial intelligence, OpenAI, ChatGPT stuff, because that's going to have a massive impact on your business. You've really got to get to grips with it, and it's happening right now. What we want to think about how we manage our time, budget, and ability to learn new technologies. And as we get older, our ability to pick up new technologies seems to wane. I think just because we get bored more quickly more than anything. It's just like, I don't really care. And that's a problem, because you need to learn these tools. A really simple example, I've got a couple of clients whose typing is terrible. It's just like, spend 5 minutes a day practicing your typing. It will save you hours and hours and hours every month. Or if you've got really severe dyslexia or something, use voice recognition. I think it's worth learning to type still. If you're spending hours and hours going through emails every day, learn some techniques to manage those emails more effectively and reduce the noise. You can train your team. I've talked about this before. Stop CCing people and BCCing people in emails they don't need. Stop replying, great, thanks. There's lots of things you can do in terms of training to make you and your team more effective. And then I mentioned as well previously, people buy these line of business applications and they're using them improperly, not to do the job, because they're too scared to implement it properly. They need a bit of project management to push it through. The reason that the NHS had to say to people, if you want a fax machine, you buy it out of your own money, is because people misunderstand the difference between efficiency and the ability they have to use a tool already. So fax machines, everybody knows, well, everybody under the age of 30-ish might not know, but everyone older knows how to use a fax machine, the photocopier, and they produce documents in another location. Isn't it amazing? But we can do that with email, or we can have forms on our website, or we can use a plethora of other tools that exist nowadays, instant messaging, for example. But the point is that people have learned how to use fax machines, they understand the processes, it's baked into the process that we'll have, so it's very hard to change it, because you've got to teach somebody that something's better. And when I say better, it's going to be better, it's got to be less difficult, or it's got to save them time, or whatever. And a great example is people that have really, really old cars that keep breaking down, because they've got the sunk cost. They bought this car, it cost them whatever, and they're spending all this money maintaining it, just had a new clutch, just had a new this, just had a new that, so they want to keep it going. And eventually they get to the point, this is ridiculous. But actually, it would have been way cheaper to bin it off 5 years ago and buy something else. But because you've got that sunk cost, you have that sunk cost fallacy. Don't do that. Instead, when it comes to technology, don't adopt it when it's shiny, 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 perfectly brand new, even though you want to be adopting it soon, but start figuring it out. But do adopt it and then get rid of technology when it's no longer fit for purpose. Do not be in that long tail. It's very expensive and it wastes your and your team's time. And there's issues around cybersecurity, there's issues around costs and budgets usually. Get all those things fixed. So hope that makes sense. If I can help at all, do get in touch. As I said before, I sit between the leadership team, you and the technical team, and my role is really to kind of facilitate the two and not to get too many acronyms and buzzwords in the way of doing that. I often go into especially small businesses run by more elderly owners. I go there and their technology is ancient, and I go, well, what's the problem? And they go, well, it works, we don't need to replace it. It's just like, yes, but you're missing the point, is that you've not budgeted effectively in order to life cycle through your tech. And what that means is it's going to run very, very smoothly, do its thing for ages and ages, then it's just going to break. It's the bathtub curve. So you start off, lots of things break, it's very, very stable, and then those things break. So we recommend usually that you have a life cycle management for everything. I've worked for 2 companies one of which had life cycle management for everything they had in the business. Everything they did had a life expectancy, and when it reached the end of its life expectancy, they got rid of it. The other company just kept things going when they break. Guess which company was more profitable? I'll leave that as an exercise for the viewer. So if you want to cut your IT costs and you worry you're spending too much money, make a budget. Work out what equipment you've got, how much it costs to replace, and how long its life expectancy is. And by the way, if you're depreciating your computers over 10 years, they're not going to last 10 years because that bath cup's going to kick in. If you're depreciating them over a year, that's too quick. It's easy to find this information out. You can ask me about different life cycles of different pieces of equipment. Put them on the life cycle budget, and you know how much you've got to spend. If there's upturns and downturns in the company, you've got time, you can sweat it a little bit. If you're sweating the assets for decades, you're just leaving money on the table. Your business is less profitable because of it. So don't let your fear of spending money in the right place cost your business money. Hope that's useful. And if you'd like to get in touch, as I say, I help businesses use technology more effectively. I sit between the management team, you maybe, and the technology team. And my job is to make sure that they're communicating well. I sit between the two, make sure that what's going from one mouth is going to the ears in a language that people understand. When it comes to technology, there is a lot of risks involved. Adopting technology too early, buying systems that are untested, keeping stuff for too long, technical debt we call it. These are all risks to the business. We've got cybersecurity, a massive, massive underappreciated risk to the business. If you're a business owner, you should be having in your mind all of those things need to be managed effectively. And that's my job, is to come to you and make sure that you've kind of got your ducks in a row. What we want to do when it comes to risk is make sure that we know the known knowns. Those are things that we know we have to organise. The known unknowns, there's things we can anticipate, but we're not really sure. Maybe the economy will change, maybe half our staff will leave for a competitor, maybe the industry will change, we'll have to change what we do. It's always difficult, but we can plan some of this stuff. But I know from my job that ChatGPT is having an enormous impact, artificial intelligence, on the way I work, and the way I deliver my time and my service. And it probably is for your business as well. Also, we have the unknown unknowns. That's the things that you don't know. You come into the office one day, or your machines are ransomware. Your 15-year-old servers, hard drives die and there's no backup. We see it all the time. You have probably not seen it all the time. So you can't predict the unknown unknowns because we don't know what they are. But what we can do is we can plan for certain scenarios to make sure that we've got a recovery plan. So your disaster recovery plan for your business may not include every possible permutation. And obviously some things it just doesn't need to. If there's an asteroid falls from the sky and obliterates the city that you live in, or Russia decides to nuke the city you live in, there's not really much planning that's worth doing for that. So some risks are just not worth mitigating, but some risks, cyber incidents, fire, all of those things are really easy to mitigate and well understood. Anyway, what I want you to do when it comes to managing risk in your business is look at the risk to technology and see where they are aligned and not aligned. If your risk is that you can't be competitive enough because of new industry changes in your market, maybe it's time to look at what technology changes need to be made so you can adopt a new system. So that's the final thing that I want to say to summarize this week. When you're fearful of change when it comes to technology, do think you're leaving money on the table. That time that you spend not buying shiny stuff, creating a plan, working with someone like me who can help explain the technology ebbs and flows and the paths that we're going down, that will make your business a lot more money. I always say that technology, and this is true for me as well, by the way, you should get 10 times what you put into it. So every pound spent on me, I'll have a chat for free, by the way, just contact me, my details are below. Every pound you spend on technology should make you at least £10 back, or dollars, euros, whatever. So I hope that makes sense. If you've got any thoughts, comments, do let me know below. You can get in contact with me below as well. And I hope this is useful for you, because if you are having a fear of technology, you're not alone by any extent. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. And let me know what you think. And I look forward to speaking to you soon. Have a great day.